Hi, welcome to a video of mine. Today we're going to talk about expectations. What are they? Why do we have them? Where do they come from? How do they influence the outcome of what we do? How do they influence our perception of the outcome? Like, subscribe, and share. We all have expectations. And it's very important to make the difference between expectations on one hand and hope on the other hand. They're two different things. Hope comes from fear or desire or love. And hope can make us go forward. Hope can be a driving energy, can be a fuel to keep going. What expectations is basically saying, I want the result to be this. And if it's not this, then I won't be happy, then it's unacceptable, then I've failed, then shit will hit the fan, let's say. And I would like to focus in this video on expectations related to something that we do for, it could be higher purpose or simply for doing something good. And we'll give an example. I'll probably give a few examples, but this is the first one. Six years ago, I participated in a project which was a charity project where I was volunteering together with a group of people, and we were offering our services for free at a specific time, at a specific location, through events that we were organizing. And the goal that we set was to contribute to society, to help a specific group of people who were in trouble, who had suffered major injuries from a fire, and support them and their families. That's how it all started, and from there we wanted to do more and to have for a period of 5 or 10 months, I don't remember exactly, every month a workshop organized by one of us to help people take a step forward. It was personal development workshops, and after we organized the first one, the cracks in the coalition started to show. So the first event was, from my perspective, a success. Yes, we could have had more people, but that was not the main goal. We wanted to make a difference, we wanted to start somewhere. And we had quite some positive feedback from people. We had quite some visibility through magazines and websites that published about what we were about to do. So that was great. But after the event, when it was time to organize the next events, because the first event we did it together, and then every one of us would organize every month something. I mean, every month one of us would organize something, and some people started to complain. They didn't see return on investment. And that shocked me, because the whole idea was to give 3 hours of your time each week to give to the cause. Which meant you spent a few hours each week, and then in that month that you actually organize the event, you have a full day that, or half a day or an evening that you do the event. So basically reaching the 3 hours was still a challenge, actually, to fill 3 hours every week. But that was the initiative. And it was about doing good. And then they started talking about return on investment. They didn't get any or not enough new clients through this whole charity thing. And I was like, what? And so expectations are a dangerous thing. Expectations can destroy the whole thing that you started building. And in this case, these expectations destroyed the whole project. Because I tried to explain to them what the reason was that we joined the project, why we started up the whole thing, and they didn't like it. They also disagreed, and they said I could not use the name of the project, the sub-project that we were doing, for an event that I wanted to organize, which was bringing potential volunteers and charities who needed volunteers together in one space and have them interact. And they didn't see any potential revenue from that, and they didn't want to get involved, and so I was not allowed to use the name that we had for our sub-project, which for me was totally fine. I was dating an artist at the time who was also very good at designing graphics and logos and things like that, so with her we created a title and a logo for my event, which was separate from what I was doing with the others, and that event was actually a success. It was a beautiful event, people loved it, people got inspired, and some of the people found indeed an NGO that they felt they could support, because the big problem is that often people have no idea what they can actually offer. They think, there's nothing I can do, there's nothing that I can provide except for money, but then I don't have much money, so I'm useless. No. Every single one of us has abilities. And the whole idea from organizing this event was to bring people who want to contribute but have no idea how to contribute or how they can contribute, together with people in the same room who need volunteers and who would love to share what they're doing and what they need from volunteers, what kind of volunteers they need and what they need them to be able to do. And that's how you match. And I continued separately. And I did have a brainstorm event with only representatives of NGOs. And I also organized an event with existing volunteers and potential volunteers. And both groups got really inspired. And so we helped these people forward, because I didn't do it alone. I did it together with a business partner. But the other project completely collapsed. I mean, the one I did together with those people, but also the overhead, or organization, the project that was about giving 3 hours per week to do good And so both completely collapsed because people had expectations. And from my perspective, the wrong expectations. But anyway, expectations, when you volunteer, can be tricky. At this moment, we live in a world where nothing is set in stone. Everything is changing. Everything is unstable. So the only stability we can create is within us. And I live in Romania now, and in Bucharest. And we have a lot of refugees coming from the Ukraine, but not only from the Ukraine. And I'm involved with an NGO that has as main goal to reduce food waste. So food that is close to the expiration date, we try to collect it and distribute it amongst people in need, refugees, but also the local poor, or have organizations directly send it to certain locations, but we encourage this. And we also do collect clothes and toys from people who clean up their attics or do a spring cleanup or autumn cleanup, and then they decide like, okay, these are things I don't use anymore, my child grew out of it, or I gained weight, or I lost weight, and so my clothes can go. I'm never wearing this, but it's still perfectly good, so we donate it. So there is more than just the food waste that we are working on. And if, for example, you would look at the refugees who are here in town, and I was to a center last weekend, and it was a heavy and sad energy there, which is normal. What can you expect? People have been fleeing their country, leaving everything behind. In many cases, not even being able to come with the whole family. So families are ripped apart. And they have nothing. And they're staying in a student housing complex. And there are no activities at the moment. The municipality, I mean, we have a mayor who's a total asshole, who's only looking at filling his pockets and doing that through granting contracts to some people who pay him well, which is just like the previous mayor and the one before that. And so the city hall is also sending food, and last week many of the refugees got sick from it, and I saw the food and I was like, this is what they sent. Yes, cooked potatoes, sealed, cooked rice, sealed, with nothing. And then a lot of it, but even your dog and your cat, you'll feed them something better than just dry rice or dry potatoes. And seeing all that, and for example that yes, they do get drinks, but they have no cups. They do have forks and knives and spoons, but they do not have cups. And you see all that, you're like, how is this possible? And so having expectations from any of the sides would lead to a lot of disappointment, maybe even depression. Ukrainians leaving the Ukraine, leaving a war zone, going into an EU country, they would probably, they would hope, but probably also expect to have a better life. But now it's almost like being in a prison, but even in a prison you get better food. So luckily through our NGO we're working on getting a diversity of food to them. And we have to work hard to get enough companies involved to get us enough food. And I'm not talking about just canned food and rubbish, I mean with plenty of E-codes or all synthesized food. I'm talking like actually healthy food. Because there are also a lot of children who need to grow, who are still developing their bodies. So having expectation also from our side, like, hey, we're gonna make it a nice experience for them, is tricky. Them experiencing to have a better life, maybe a life with everything they need, well, they're not getting it. And some may say they will never get it because we're heading toward an extreme heavy recession, even if governments are lying about it and manipulating all the figures about the inflation, saying it's only 6%, now it's 16 in the US. But them just manipulating the data, changing the rules of the game while the game is already going on by changing the parameters to make things look better. So what can these people expect? Nothing. What can we expect? Nothing. The best thing to do to not get so disappointed and depressed that we lose faith and we stop doing what we're doing is to detach from the outcome. This way we can enjoy every small victory. Maybe there will be even big victories. We need to focus on what we're doing and why we're doing it. Not for the end result. No, why we're doing it. We want to support people. We want to give people a higher quality of life than what they have in this moment. So every little bit we contribute is a plus, is hopefully an improvement. Bring that to your own life. Maybe doing some charity work will give you a feeling of purpose. Maybe detaching from the outcome of what you're doing now, let's say you work with customers. Letting go of the outcome may set you free and may help you enjoy the journey. When I work with clients on their personal development, I often see their potential. I help them find a path to reach their potential. I help them find ways to overcome their obstacles. But what they do in the end is not my responsibility. I cannot force them to start walking towards their destination, towards the higher purpose. If they're not ready to walk all the way, then that's it. I do what I can. I give them everything I can give them. And then, depending on where they stand on their path, then can take a step forward, a step to the left, a step to the right, maybe a step back. Maybe it was only the only thing I had to do, my only purpose was to plant a seed. And then wait for somebody else to water that seed so that it can start to grow. So in the end, when I work with people, when I look back, I planted thousands of seeds. Did they all result in beautiful trees with flowers? No. Did all my clients thrive? No. Am I responsible for the not thriving of those who didn't? No. They came to me, they asked for help. I offered them the help I could offer them. I told them up front what I could do for them. They agreed. They decided to work with me, and then they went their way. Just like I did. Just like I'm still doing. When I hire a coach, they tell me things. They may recommend me things. But I may not be able to apply everything they're saying today. Sometimes it takes years before we truly understand what somebody said. Maybe them saying that something was planting a seed, and then while continuing the path, life, other information is coming to us, and at a certain moment we can connect the dots and then we have a breakthrough. So it's very important to let go of expectations. Expectations also limit the possible outcomes, or the possibility of a good outcome often, because we put our expectation in a box like this, where there is an infinite number of possibilities, an infinite number of outcomes. And so in the last few years, I would not say I've learned, but I would say I've started to learn, because I'm still learning, and it's getting better and better, to detach, to go with the flow, to lower my expectations, or not just to lower the bar of the expectation, we say lower expectations like having lower expectations, no, to more often let go of expectations and do something because I feel that I really need to do it, that I love to do it. When I work with a client now, I work with a client because I love working with clients. And what the client does with what he's learned from me, or what I've shared, that's not my problem, that's not my responsibility. Of course, I celebrate if I see a client having a breakthrough, reaching a new level, but I may not, in many cases, realize that the client had a breakthrough or is reaching a new level, because I do not know everything about the client. The client himself may not even realize. I did not realize for a while that I was making steps. I was working on myself, which I also didn't realize fully in the beginning. I was not fully conscious of what actually I was doing. I had a mentor for 10 years, but the first, I don't know, few years, I don't know how many years, but the first few years, I didn't even realize that I had a mentor. So I really encourage you to be in the here and now, to feel what you need to do, and when you feel it, to do it, and let go of the expectations. This doesn't mean that you should not charge for your services or something. That's absolutely not what I'm talking about. You may choose to do things paid, you may choose to do certain things for free, but it's about the expectations. And when you let go of the expectations, you can actually start to celebrate your wins. So I hope this video got you to realize certain things. I hope that you'll find what inspires you and start doing it. And through that, inspiring others to also do what they feel, what they're inspired to do. And feel free to contact me if you need help. Feel free to contact me if you have things you want to share, how you're doing things. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. And it's being smart. Sharing your experiences with others is also a way to help lift the collective. So please do both when needed, when possible. See you in the next video. Have a beautiful day and have a beautiful week. Like, subscribe and share.